season is we've been looking at this cross scene because, Jesus could have just died, right? The wages of sin is death. He didn't have to die the way he died, with all of this extra, with the being spat on, with the crowns of thorns, with the nails in his hand, with all of that extra. It must mean something. And so what we're really doing is walking through the Lent season, kind of pulling out some of these extras. And today, our Lent lesson is out of Matthew 27 and 51. Let's jump in it. Matthew 27 and 51. Let me say why you guys are either turning to it, clicking on it, or at least type it in. Let me know you got it. Type it in. I hope you are mastering this fast. Fruits, vegetables, water, seeds, nuts. Only 100% apple juice, 6 to 6. That's what we're doing, 6 to 6. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're growing. There we go. Matthew 27 and 51. Hey, Sister Venus. And it reads like this. Matthew 27 and 51. It says, at that moment, the veil of the temple was torn into from top to bottom. The earthquake and the rocks were split. Verse 52. The tombs broke open and the bodies of many saints who had fallen asleep were raised. There's this interesting thing that happens. There used to be this temple where whenever people wanted to worship or whenever people wanted to connect to God, here's what they'd have to do. I see you, Kendall. There was this temple, and whenever people wanted to talk to God, whenever people wanted to be forgiven, whenever people wanted to be blessed, they would go to the priest, right? And the priest would take their blessing, right? The people here, blessing. Hey, priest, go talk to God for me. Go talk to God for me. And then what the priest would do? Let me find something. What the priest would do. This is a veil. What the priest would do is go beyond. Like, this is the veil. This is like a piece of curtain that hangs up from the top to the bottom. And what they do is the priest would go behind the curtain, almost like the Wiz in the Wizard of Oz. Y'all remember that? We'll have to see the king, right? So. We'll have to see the wizard. And what the priest would do is talk to the people. The people say, hey, here's what I want to do. Here's what I want forgiven. Here's what I've been dealing with. Here's my animal. And then the priest would go behind the veil and do the God thing, right? Offer up the sacrifices, burn the incense, wash his hands in the water, have the candles lit, commit the sacrifice. And then the priest would come back from behind the veil and then tell the people, this is what the Lord has said. The Lord has forgiven you. Go in peace, right? And what happens during this Calvary crucifixion scene, somehow, some way, is I don't know if I can share this. I think I might need it. Is Jesus is dying on the cross with his hands nailed, feet nailed, and God gives us access. Here's what happens. He takes the veil. So people are used to having to stop here. They can never really get fully to God. They stop here. They can never get fully to God. They always have to stop here. And they can never get fully to God. And he just tears the veil so that the veil is now open, and it's like a doorway. Maybe this is where we get he opens up closed doors. Because now people don't have to stop at the priest or the curtain to get to God. That's kind of how it goes. And that's simple. Most of you knew that already. But it doesn't stop there. Notice, what he does is he keeps opening up more things. After the veil rips, it then says that the earthquake and the rock split. So now we have what is in front of us opening up, and we have what is under us opening up, so that we have access both vertically, right, and we have access horizontally. He gave us cross-like access, right? It's the same way. He gave us cross access. He says, listen, whichever direction you want to go, whatever you need in upward mobility, right? Because what happens is when the earthquake opens and the tombs open up, everybody who had been told no now gets a yes. Have you ever been told no? Have you ever had a dream, a goal, an aspiration, a desire, or some pleasure, and the answer was no? No, not right now. I'm not even talking about from God. I'm talking about from people. No, you're not qualified. Y'all went out on a couple of dates, and then they just stopped calling. It was a no. Or you actually did it. You actually did the whole marriage thing, and marriage and the kids, and then sometime later, no, I don't want to be in this anymore. Or you had this business idea, and all you needed was just a little startup capital. You had a business plan, you laid it out, you thought it out, you prayed about it. You go to the bank, to the credit union, to the investor, and the answer is no. You ever knew you were called to ministry, but the person who happened to be leading in the ministry that you were in didn't acknowledge or recognize or agree or co-sign on the vision, the idea, the ministry, the uniqueness of your gift, and the answer was no? Well, look, here's what Christ does on the Calvary. What Christ does on Calvary is he erases the no. He erases the no and says, go get it, right? I know it sounds real churchy, real cliche, almost corny, no to go. But that's it. That's what God does. He in Calvary, he in crucifixion, he in his death said, listen, before I leave the scene, let me go ahead and make sure that they understand that this is more than just me being nailed to a cross. This is me nailing the nose. So everything that you did not have access to, you now have it. In the same way that the civil rights movement allowed minorities access to water fountains, restrooms, restaurants, and voting booths, Christ's death on the cross gives the Christian access to everything and anything his or her hearts will desire. Now, let me be clear. There's always a point. There's always a place where God gives us some limits. That God gives us some boundaries. That with responsibility comes accountability. Absolutely. So don't think that you can just do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want to do it. However, don't let the nose stop you, because his death was more than just blood, more than just thorns, more than just nails, more than just dying. Before he expired, what he did was he took the exit signs off of everything and said, now you can get in. The veil has been torn. The ground is now opened up. And if you go and read it, verse 52 is really interesting, because it says those who had died, they actually came up out of the grave. They woke up, right? I think that's funny that they woke up, because, we got all of this new lingo, like stay woke, as if that's new. That's not new. That's Jesus at Calvary. Like, hey, look, you've been blind to some things. There have been things that people haven't given you. There are rights and justices that people have denied you. There are job placements that you should have had. There are promotions that you should have acquired. Homes you should have purchased. Businesses you should have started. Degrees you were supposed to acquire. There are ministries you were supposed to launch. And just because you were denied them by people doesn't mean that you've been denied them by the divine. God says, stay woke. Matter of fact, get up. Go get it. Today, now. As a matter of fact, if I could make this practical, listen. Go and do something today towards the dream you had yesterday. Yes, last month, yesteryear. Whatever it is that you've suppressed, whatever it is you push back, listen, this Lenten season is a reminder that God has given access. Access granted. Veil has been torn. Earth quaking. Rocks have split. Tombs. Oh, man. Gosh, I try not to preach during this little devo, but it get really exciting to me, because he opens up tombs. That means things that were dead have now been resurrected. And we're talking about before he gets up. He's going to get up 3 days from now. But before he gets up in 3 days, he's telling you that whatever you have that has died, that you have buried, that you have suppressed, that others said you cannot have, God says, I'm raising it up now. Access granted. Go get it. And I think all of us have had enough no's, enough not you, enough somebody else, but you won't have it type experiences in life. The Lenten season says, let go of the no and go after what God has placed in your heart. And you know how the story goes. He continues on, and he does die too. Here's the key. Even after he dies, there's this group of women, Mary and the crew. They go to see Jesus, and they ask this question in their mind. They're like, hey, when we get there, who's going to roll the stone away? Guess what happened? When they showed up to the tomb, God had already rolled the stone away, because even what they had in their mind, what they had thought about as a challenge, as a barrier, as a gate, as a door, as a boulder, was not bigger than God's ability to give them access. So they go in, right? They walk straight into the tomb. Here it is. Here's a big point. And when they get inside, they receive more than what they could think or imagine. I don't want to spoil it. That's tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll talk about what was in there. But today, know that there's something there. There's something on the other side. The other side of the veil, the other side of the stone, the other side of the door, the other side of that degree, the other side of that certification, the other side of the business start. Look, what God is doing in you is not just for you. What God is doing for you is going to bless so many people after you. That's why he granted you access. You are just the Esther that will save the family. You are the Daniel that will put prayer back in places that it has been removed. You are the Noah. And when you and your small group get in the ark, then you actually start a whole new generation. You change the stars for your family and your job, your place of employment, the business you own. You are the beginning of something great. You just got to get to the other side. Access has been granted. God, I thank you so much. I thank you for thinking so much of us, that in your dying days, you wanted to give us the highest quality of life. God, we were so content having to talk to preachers and bishops and pastors and apostles to get access to you. But, we're learning now that you've given us that access, that you provide them as guides, that you provide them to help walk alongside us, to help lead us. But at the end of the day, God, we can get to you. We can get to you. We can walk through your blessings. We thank you for the mentors and the leadership that you have given us. We praise you for those who walk closely with you on a daily basis so that we too can walk closer with you. But God, the access you gave us, we want to take advantage of now. We don't want your dying to be in vain. We don't want the work that you did at Calvary to be lost as some historic fact. But God, we want to make it relevant for today. So I pray for courage. I pray courage to go forward. I pray courage to take steps of faith. I pray for courage to go after it with or without the financial resources. I pray, God, for courage to speak life, to be able to articulate again some of the dreams and goals that we let other people talk us out of. I pray today, God, for courage to walk through the doors of the God, that's our prayer. Until you meet us here again tomorrow morning, or for others maybe this evening in their own personal Bible studies, we want you to know that we can do as much as we can to stay close to you and activate you help us. This is our prayer. You just let you do it. Hey, listen, you guys have a great day. Be blessed, and go ahead and walk through that door and see what God has for you. Have a great day.